Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about till it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian here once again with Rob and Ashley, and Daytona is over, and we are here to bitch about it. Folks, how we doing this week?
I'm back on Earth, Brian. How you doing, True Love?
I'm great.
Good. Hey, you sound normal.
I'm getting there.
That's good.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
The Bowman Gray flu ain't no shit, huh? That sounds like a
joke,
tough deal.
Yeah.
I'm the
right
sick
back
one.
To the racetrack this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm the sick one this week, but you can't hear it from my voice, thankfully.
Yeah. I'd rather not hear it at all, judging by the list of symptoms I've heard. But
yeah. Daytona happened, and there's a good amount to talk about here. So where do we want to begin?
Well, let's just start on fucking Thursday, I guess, with the duels and of course the weekend.
Well, we had pole qualifying on Wednesday. I mean, there's not much to say there, but.
Yeah, well, except for Chase Briscoe running a fucking illegal wing that tilts back, but whatever. That'll get revealed later in the show, I guess.
Yeah.
That said, definitely cool to see Chase Briscoe in his new ride getting a pole, even if the car was completely illegal. I think a lot of people are. I'm already discounting it because of this, but you can't really judge Daytona for speed or anything like that. It's the first qualifying session of the year, but I think a lot of people have a really close eye on Chase Briscoe right now, and it was cool to see him kind of come out of the gate and make a statement, even if it is just pinning your foot to the floor or the spoiler that falls back like fucking Sterling Marlins did back in 1994. But yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, we had Truex and Johnson lock themselves in on speed that night.
That was also cool, yeah.
And Helio did not, which none of us were shocked by.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a fourth car at a team, someone's got to get the shit end, I guess, and I don't know. I don't think anyone really pinned Trackhouse as being a team that has the super speedway qualifying figured out all that well, so, no surprises there. Pretty car, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all woke up on Thursday morning to the heartbreaking news that Pitbull has immediately terminated his sponsorship with Trackhouse. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Friday. That was after the duels. Yeah, it took all of his cars wrecking to realize this is a bad investment, and he got the fuck out. That's how I read it anyway.
To perform on Sunday, though.
Yeah, he had to make up the rain check from last year when he backed out because of the rain delay or whatever, but... Yeah, anyway. Yeah, we're going to jump all over the calendar here this time around. But the duels, I don't know anything to say about that other than Eric Jones getting his heart broken.
Well, I will say I love Duel 1. Bubba 1 and, like, the intensity and, like, anxiety that I felt watching Allgaier trying to make it in on speed because he almost did not make the 500.
100%.
And I was not prepared to handle the heartbreak of seeing a disappointed Dale Jr. after all the hard work and hype behind this first JRM Cup ride.
100%. Yeah, the first duel was excellent. And then, of course, I like JJ Yaley. Obviously, I'd rather see, the fucking Hoosiers storyline here with Junior and Allgaier make the show, but it was pretty cool to see JJ Yaley almost get in there and made a bad lane choice and got shuffled back, and that was kind of the end of it.
Well, you didn't get to see the disappointment on my face when BJ didn't make the race, so...
Yeah, they didn't. They showed up about 40 miles off the pace.
Yeah, they didn't have the car they had last year, so...
No, not at all.
That was a big disappointment, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was bummed to see that, too. I kind of expected a little bit more, especially now that BJ McLeod looks like the smartest man in the world by selling his charter. think we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently he blew all that money on the roller coaster and not on a fucking ECR engine or something to make the show, but it is what it is. Of course, Elio Castroneves breaking something in the right rear and wrecking himself after a caution. That was pretty funny, but not a whole lot he could do there. I know I was quick to talk shit to all my friends when that happened. A good thing they gave this guy a fucking provisional. But really not a whole lot you can do when, the right rear is completely broken and you run onto the flat like that and the front wheels aren't touching the ground, and those are the ones you steer with in a stock car. So, what can you really do?
Yeah. Do you guys talk about the finish of the second race?
Where, we're there now. We can. Yeah. True Love wanted to talk about the good first. I was gonna save that for later, but before I started talking shit. But
get the feel good moments in first. So.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't watch,
man,
classic Daytona deal. A couple guys coming to the line. Wreck behind the leaders, and the caution gets thrown. Normally, I wouldn't give a shit about that. That's procedure, but they were literally about 47 inches away from the start-finish line. And the wreck happened at the very back of the pack, so I don't understand. Maybe somebody sat on the button. I don't know, but that was pretty fucking bummer. Of course, Eric Jones nipped Austin Cindric at the line, but that's not what NASCAR decided because it goes by the when the caution light goes off. So,
yeah, I would say the only benefit to this is that it did kind of course correct the rest of the weekend, in a sense. Which we'll get to in the next three races. Because each of the three races all had fucking, last lap caution issues. So,
and it was really painful, though. I think everyone on the show are Eric Jones fans, and to watch him go park that car on the start-finish line, climb out, stand up on the window, celebrate, start walking towards the flag man to get the flag, and then the flag man's like, nah, and then to have to watch him stand there awkwardly waiting to hear the results,
and then and that look on his face when they announced it,
it's
just that was tough to watch. And then
poor guy.
I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but eventually, once Eric Jones cleared his sadness off of the front stretch, and they did, Austin walked all the way out to the flag stand because he didn't get to celebrate either, and the flag was gone by the time he got up there. And so he went up in the crowd and threw his hat out there and just kind of waved at the 6 people that stuck around to watch it. So just a big failure organizationally at the end of that race. It's one thing to take a win away from somebody based on the rules, but then to deny somebody else the celebration as a result, in my opinion, is pretty bummer, especially on a stage that big. So,
yeah.
Just leave the fucking flag behind. Who's going to take it? You can't get down there.
So that was Thursday.
I guess, that takes care of Thursday. There was, I will say, before we get into the actual races, there was quite a bit of cup practice throughout the weekend, which I don't think I watched much of at all. I was just like, oh, they're on track. That's good. I don't think it really matters with these cars as much, but really. For the people at the track, it gives them something to watch. So Friday night was a truck race. And overall, I think this was pretty decent, especially compared to the last couple of years. There weren't as many crazy, stupid wrecks, I feel like, as usual.
Yeah, it was pretty calm until the end. So
yeah, and
for the truck series.
I can't think of anything incredibly notable that happened. Tony Breidinger, she didn't finish the race. I think she got involved in 2 wrecks. Frankie Muniz actually finished 10th, but that's after Parker DQ'd, and he was involved in the last lap wreck also.
What a shame, really Parker getting DQ'd.
That's the main thing to talk about is the last lap, really. And again,
classic
going back
with plate races, huh?
Yeah. Going back to the night before, how we just bitched about how Eric Jones got robbed of a win. This night, NASCAR decided to be a little more cautious about throwing out a caution flag. I want to say going into from turn 1 to turn 2 on the last lap, there was a wreck, and then maybe somewhere between 3 and 4, there was another big wreck, and they didn't throw the caution out until like maybe 100 feet in front of the green, the checkered flag, which again they didn't need to do, but it wasn't like Parker and Corey Heim were like neck and neck with each other. I mean, Parker clearly had the victory, so I guess it didn't really matter. But
they argued they were going to DQ him anyway, so.
I did very much enjoy the fact that they let them race that far, especially after the night before. And yeah, Parker winning was really great to see until the next day when they took it away from him because he apparently his ride height was too low, which this led to a revelatory tweet by Landon Castle, which this is something that isn't necessarily news to a lot of NASCAR fans, but maybe to some newer ones is. Landon, I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, so I couldn't tell you, but it couldn't, exact quote it, but he more or less said like this happened to him once before too, where he either won or finished well in a race and got penalized after because of the ride height being too low.
Yeah.
So he was told next time he was to win, fuck up the car because then NASCAR can't inspect it the same way and they'll never notice.
He was told tap the wall on the cool down lap.
Yeah, which this is definitely, I mean, we've seen this before with like, I know Jimmy Johnson's done it before and
crack the rear end,
like,
buddy.
Yeah, burnouts and stuff. Like it's 100% happened. And friend of the show, Stacy Joyish, she said her dad told her the same thing when he saw that clip. So, it's racer's knowledge, I guess. Like if you cheated, fuck your car up. I mean, hell, think about when DW blew his motor in what was it, the Winston or whatever, a Charlotte race. He blew his motor going across the start finish line.
That was the Winston, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
You wonder why they do all the burnouts. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. That's not even a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough too, seeing him have such a massive celebration, especially after the Roval fiasco last year.
Yeah.
And all those great images of him like planting the flag and celebrating, and in his interview saying this is the biggest win of my career, and then
nope. No, sir. I wonder if they made a Corey Heim go down there and dig the flag out of the infield.
Well, no, I think I think Parker kept the flag. He made sure.
Yeah, I
he
think he said he was.
Well, the funny thing about both of these decisions being made by NASCAR in these races is that this isn't even the first little bit of it. Like, we'll get to it in the septic tank, but there was a shit ton of DQs coming out of New Smyrna this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was just like, really? We're doing it in NASCAR too? Like, fuck yeah. Disqualify them all. But anyway, we'll get to that later.
Yep. And now on to Saturday, which, I mean, I'm trying to think. I can't even remember what happened in the Xfinity race, but I'm sure we'll remember
ARCA
to get
race was
refreshed.
first.
Yeah, I know the ARCA race was first.
Boy, was it first.
I didn't get to watch the ARCA race. We went to the pool room to have lunch, and they had it on the TV, but there was just so many cautions that it took forever. So I didn't get to watch much.
Fucking cavalcade of stars. Yeah, just...
And right off the bat, like the first big wreck was started by my favorite Russian operative, Cody Dennison. If you don't know, he is sponsored by the Tim Pool podcast, which Tim Pool is a right-wing extremist who is funded by Russian money. So the fact he's allowed to be in NASCAR is mind-boggling.
At least someone's getting paid.
Yeah, they also had Trump there on Sunday, which we'll get to. But this dipshit, this was his first Daytona race, and it happened a handful of times throughout the weekend. He got loose coming off of 4, which I guess is a bad spot for a lot of people, and wrecked, I don't know, dozen cars, a ton of cars. But in his post-race interview, talked about how it was kind of fun. Like, oh my God, this he is just like a gross misogynist bro dipshit that like I don't know how he became somewhat of a little bit of a YouTube celebrity to get his ride, and I never ask or never hope for people to get hurt driving.
Oh,
he
boy.
is one of those people that it's like, I probably wouldn't be that bummed if it happened to him.
Yeah, we'll see how fun it is after you end up in the fucking infield care center.
Yeah. Well, he did end up in the infield care center just with no injuries.
Well, he definitely had a concussion. If you're talking that kind of shit.
No, I think he's that fucking stupid. Look at his Twitter account. That's the type of shit he
Eyes are
says.
too
He's a
far
fucking
apart.
moron.
Yeah.
He's
I don't know
an
shit
idiot.
about that guy other than what he said in his interview and how he just couldn't hold it in 4 and just
You're better off leaving it at that. And
Oh,
that's
I plan
probably
on
the
it.
only other
Yeah.
probably the only other time you'll see him on TV all year. 'cause
yeah. I'm
he's,
not gonna look into this dude too closely because I think I've seen enough. But
I'm trying to think of or remember where I heard it, but somebody mentioned, I think it was Denny that mentioned that, like, in ARCA you can be 8 laps down and finish in the top 10 and make it to the top 10 in points. That's Cody Dennison. He's the guy who finishes 8 laps down and ends up 10th in the points. So
Fuck yeah.
there you go. Anyways, but that was only the first stupid wreck.
this is like 10 minutes into the broadcast from what I gather.
I think Helio got in 2 or 3 accidents, including he getting right hooked after the finish. I don't know what the fuck that was about, and they didn't really get into it too much afterwards. But
No,
like,
I don't think anyone knows why that happened.
yeah, it wasn't. It's not like it happened like 50 feet, like they just crossed the start finish line. It happened going into turn 1.
That kid
and
almost
he
took
got
out the
right
leader
hooked.
too, or the winner,
Yeah.
Butterbean. He almost wrecked him as well after the race. But
Yeah, is Connor Jones in the race or what? I don't know.
no, he was too busy getting DQ'd down at Smyrna. But
That's right.
yeah, I don't know. Amber Bachman had a cool showing there. Apparently, she wrecked Cletus, which apparently wasn't 100% as bad as people made it out to be, but still. In the
I
Hall
think-
of Fame for this weekend. And Cletus got a top 10, right?
Yeah, so no, he didn't get a top. He didn't get. He didn't get a top 10. So let me
That's right. You
say
gave that
my-
interview from the care center. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he ended up in the booth, which was fine. So let me say my little thing about Cletus here, because Cletus did get a lot of attention on himself and on the sport this weekend. I mean, the ARCA race itself, I think it was the highest rating for the show in over a decade.
Oh yeah, 1.1 million viewers on a Saturday afternoon.
Which I'm sure that
they put
has
it on the big Fox channel too, which I was surprised by.
Yeah.
I'm sure that had something to do with Cletus, but also Helio as well. It seems like, Cletus got a fairly good reception from the NASCAR audience, and that's fine. Like, I've watched quite a bit of Cletus's content, and I like some of it. Don't love all of it. I think he does a lot of good things for motorsports overall. He seems like a good dude. My biggest issue with him is the quote-unquote character, because he doesn't really have much of a character. If you watch enough of his content, like, the only character is when he'll occasionally say something in a stupid fake redneck accent. And, like, I just personally can't stand the redneck stereotype. Like, the joke of that sucks. Like, you want to see a real deal good old boy? The guy who fucking won, Butterbean, that's a good old boy.
That's my dog.
Like, Cletus is just the guy that once in a while will say Dega or do it for Dale. Like, that's it. That's all. That's the gimmick.
What is this new voice character that you've been holding out on us?
Yeah, this is definitely new territory. I didn't know you had it in you.
When I'm saving it when I'm really pissed off. Well, see, it's funny. Well, I'll mention it later. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he did okay. He was on. I mean, it was really not a shock to hear him on Dale Jr.'s podcast this week, and it was a good interview. And it kind of talked a little more about his overall racing history. I mean, he does a lot of drag racing stuff. He's very into tuning cars and things like that. But I think the annoying thing that I took from it was that he only wants to race the big tracks. He only wants to race Daytona and Dayga, because that's where, like, the parties are the most fun, and that's where, like, the most amount of people will watch him. He doesn't really have any interest in actually racing short track stuff unless he somehow does well enough to, like, well, it might as well just a whole fucking season. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I got no problem with him. I think
I got no problem with him. He's just it's hard for me to take him seriously in NASCAR is all.
I don't know. I think out of all the things we can gripe about that ARCA race, his interview is definitely like pretty low on the list of things to say put the sport in a bad light or paint it in a bad, because there was so much fucking short bus shit going on out there this whole weekend, and like
it's a personal gripe for me. That's all.
Yeah, and again, like shout out to Cletus. Like I was saying this before the show, he does bring his road show around to a lot of short tracks around the country, and it gives those places an opportunity to bring 15,000 people in when they normally wouldn't be doing that. So even though if he has no interest in doing the actual racing, again, he does run a racetrack where super late models will go race at, and then he takes his show on the road too. So it's kind of hard to hate on that. And you know, if and he's definitely a lot better than 86 of the other drivers in the ARCA field, as far as I can tell. So I'll take him.
I'll leave it at that. That's fine.
I will be using his Christian name, Garrett.
Garrett Mitchell.
Yeah.
That's right. That was the funny thing about it, is that I don't know who Garrett Mitchell is at all. or I didn't until like I saw it on Biffle's broadcast. And even after like the little a race he did in his property for fire relief, and I didn't know it was the same guy. I knew Cletus was there. I heard that name. I didn't really put it together, and I still didn't put it together until I saw his interview, and it's like, oh, there he is. And then they put Garrett Mitchell on the screen. I was like, oh.
Well, what's funny is NASCAR let him run like Cletus on the door, and I think even on the pylon he was up there as Cletus, but
they won't let Butterbean put it up there.
Butterbean, yeah. What the fuck? Oh, now I'm mad.
It's
but that's a NASCAR problem, not a Cletus problem.
Yeah,
definitely a Butterbean problem.
That's true.
But yeah, seriously, awesome to see Butterbean Queen win. That dude fucking rules. I was, admittedly, you guys know my feelings on the current state of the ARCA series, K&N Plus or whatever the fuck it is, you know. But I was a little bummed to find out that he was going to be doing a full-time season over there, as I enjoy him in, you know, late models so much. But I don't know. It was cool to see him get a win, and you know, I know there's going to be more truck starts and shit for him in the future. So whatever it takes to get him making some money and on a bigger stage, you know, I don't think that any of us lose from that.
No.
So I was very excited to. Well, I didn't see him when I got a text message about it as I was at Monster Jam, but we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he did indeed go to Waffle House with his trophy.
Yes, he did.
But he did go to. They did go ride the Dente like the next day with the whole crew, so that was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that brings us to the Xfinity race.
Yeah. Easily the best show of the weekend at Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even debatable.
In the booth and on the track.
Yeah, the CW's broadcast was awesome. Again, like when you have the combination of a package that works at a racetrack like that, which I think the Xfinity cars do, and a broadcast that actually seems to give a shit about what they're presenting, with a knowledgeable booth. I don't know. It just elevated the entire show for me, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. And I don't like plate racing. You guys know that, and I really enjoyed that race a lot.
I really
feel bad.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I felt bad for Parker having to be in the booth at like 10 a.m. right after that devastating DQ. But
that's fair.
Yeah.
I really thought it was finally going to be Sheldon's day, but I'm sure the first race I don't bet on him, he's going to win. That's what's going to happen.
So.
Yeah, Fandom versus Wallet, which neither of them are winning right now, so you might as well not put a bet. Put a bet on Jesse Love instead, or Austin Hill, for fuck's sake. Those cars have got to be illegal, dude. They're so good.
Austin's odds were like plus 300, where everybody else was like plus 900 or more. So it's like,
yeah, he had something break in the rear end, which ended his day, which was a shame.
Yeah,
I don't like Austin Hill.
Smelling something weird.
But I liked that. The way they talked about Austin Hill's rear end for about 20 minutes, that was pretty funny to me.
His greasy rear end leaking all over the cars behind him. I mean, funky smells in there.
Not a big Austin Hill fan, but I do appreciate dominance once in a while, and it was pretty cool to see a car be that fucking grounded, even when it was broken, and then have Jesse Love back there. Again, I don't like either of those guys, but either one of them winning is well deserved.
This was another race where, again, the caution at the very end played a big role, and this was much like last year's 500, where they wrecked pretty much coming to the white flag, and NASCAR waited like 3 seconds too long to hold to throw the caution, so it ended right then. I don't know what the hell. I don't know who's in charge of the button, but they got to get somebody else on that fucking job.
He just kind of goes off randomly. Yeah. Like that little thing at the gas station when you open the door and it lets the employee know to come up there and sell you your Zins.
Yeah.
The little ding.
Well, we did miss the biggest part of this race, which was green flag pit stops with about 33 to go, and there was some ARCA brakes in the Xfinity race this weekend.
I don't think there were any brakes involved in this one. So you guys have probably figured out what we're going to mention here, but just in case you haven't already, Chris Wright, everyone's coming to pit road, and Chris Wright and the number 347, whatever the fuck it is in line to come in and just decides to not brake at all. And I don't even know what his thought process would be in this, but
I feel like I heard
he blamed his spotter, which is
he blamed his spotter, but it's like
fucking real.
Dude, there were fucking 20 cars in front of you. What the fuck are you looking at?
It's like, what are you sitting in your spotter's lap and he's working the pedals for you while you steer? Like, that's not. There's in no way is that the spotter's fault.
That was a Jesse Iwuji move right there.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, I forgot about that guy.
He's around. He's teaming up with Alpha Prime, isn't he? Again?
Was that who it was? Oh, that's a
him and Emmett Smith and somebody else.
I like Tommy Joe, but he makes some really bad driver choices.
Well, it's not driver, I don't think. I think it's just ownership with Emmett Smith. And it might not even be Alpha Prime, but it's one of those teams that kind of hangs around in that portion of the field.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
we'll break
fair.
that news that came out like a month ago at a later date because I'm not looking that up right now.
We get the facts.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been so mortified if I was him that even though it wasn't a mechanical failure, I would have blamed it on something breaking instead of saying what he said. Like, what?
Well, the problem is, though, they have all the data in the cars now. Are they not in the Xfinity cars?
No, they all got throttle trace and all that, so they can see what's going on.
They'd be able to tell if you're alive.
Maybe not Chris Wright. I don't know. But that's definitely a question I would have been asking my team before I got on the mic and tried to blame my spotter. Unfucking believable. That was on a weekend full of dumb fuck shit happening all the time. That was
top tier.
Yeah, straight to the top of the charts with a bullet. Unfucking real. I was sitting on the couch with my wife watching that, and she wasn't paying attention, and she missed the wreck, and she looked up, and her initials are the same as Chris Wright's, KW, and she's like, "Oh, he's got my initials. You know, that's a cool hat." And I was like, "You don't want that fucking hat. You take that back." Other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to all the CW races now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll even forgive the fact that I have to find an illegal site to stream it on. Doesn't matter to me.
I was going to say, we've talked about this.
We should start a GoFundMe for Rob's rabbit ears that he needs to buy.
Yeah. They just don't work all that well here.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. Even mine doesn't work incredibly well, but I only use it for when the internet's out, which, again, doesn't really happen. So
yeah, I'd have to drill a hole in the ceiling of the basement to get it up to the main floor. And I can put it on the back of my TV up there, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's true. You got that basement.
I don't watch a lot of racing up there, so.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, so that brings us to Sunday. And Sunday, before we get to the main story, somebody had a good time in the stands on Sunday morning because there was a photo floating around in Daytona from the grandstands.
Lord.
And this has to be some sort of fetish thing that like is some weird like Reddit or 4chan or community that like because I don't know why. Like, I just don't understand why you would do this in public without like it being a thing for someone else to see. But there's a photo of someone sitting in Daytona's grandstands, and there's a guy in the foreground. He's got a Blaney shirt on, and I don't know if he's part of this or if he's just taking the photo as an observer. There's another guy kneeled down on the ground, licking the. He's got an older gentleman, probably 50s, 60s, like looks old, with his
gray hair.
With this, I don't know if it's a woman, a man, what? Can't tell because like. The pants that are being worn by the person being sucked on are just these big baggy pants, and from the foot you can't tell either. But this guy's got.
I bet you some could tell.
He's got his at least the big toe and a few other toes fully in his mouth, like just fully in his mouth. And I've seen this photo so many times. I got sent it to me today by a few people on Instagram that don't watch NASCAR, so it's getting around.
Yeah, it really blew up. It got reposted by some big accounts. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
But someone that hates feet with every fiber of their being, like, oh god.
Oh god, I didn't know if I want to say what I'm about to say, but like, I think about going to the racetrack, right? And there's kind of like 2 or 3 different variations of footwear you can have on. There's the closed toe with the sock, you know, like a regular ass shoe or a boot, you know, and your feet sweat. It's gross. Yeah. It's disgusting.
Yeah, there's so much walking. It's like 80 degrees down there this weekend. It's probably humid from the rain.
Or the alternative being, you know, a flip-flop croc type situation where
which picks up debris.
Everything. Yeah. Like, listen, as a man who's bumped his big toe against the side of a porta-john as he was taking a piss in the morning and had to drive to the shower center afterwards to rectify it. That I don't know which is worse for me. A flip-flop foot. In fact, we'll probably put a poll up about this because I want to know what the people think.
Well, I will say this as someone who I am not a foot person, but I find the whole foot thing somewhat entertaining. And there's another podcast to listen to called Guys that they did a whole episode about foot guys, and that's a thing. Like,
if you're about Brian today,
yeah, I there's a lot of weird content I take in, but Guys is a pretty big podcast. So they did an episode about foot guys, and it's a comedy podcast, and like that's a thing. Like, people who are into feet, like they like gross feet. You don't want just freshly out of the shower feet. So
no, you want Daytona fucking. Shower center feet.
Yeah. So
either way, that is not something that I would have probably have cheered it on if I was sitting there because, you know, why not?
Of course, yeah.
We're through the looking glass at this point. We might as well just let the show ride out. But
yeah. So here's my little conspiracy that I'm gonna bring up because I don't.
Oh.
Odd timing.
Oh, he quits the show as soon as conspiracies get mentioned.
The NSA just came in and cut his mic off. Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, seriously, I'm going to put a poll up of which foot is worse to suck on in the stands at Daytona.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm going to think. I don't want to think about that.
No, but now you have to. Yeah, we'll revisit this next week if I remember. But I can't wait to hear Brian's conspiracy theory when he comes back. Mm-hmm. And like, what time of day?
This picture looked early because the sun was shining. The grandstands were pretty empty.
Yeah, it could have been Saturday, but it was cloudy on Saturday. I don't know. We're again, his mic dropped out, and we're spending a lot of time on this foot thing. So, I know this
waiting for his conspiracy to come back. He's probably doesn't even know that he dropped off the show, and he's just been.
I can just hear the sounds of our listeners' tires on the rumble strip on the side of the highway as they're driving their cars off into the ditch as this conversation continues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
sorry.
Thankful that we don't do the show on video, so you can't see the faces I'm making.
Yeah, or the feet.
Okay, so where did I get cut off?
You're about to talk about a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
I'm the only person I think that's brought this up that I've noticed at least. But so they announced the race getting moved up an hour, and didn't really change much as far as the outcome of the race. And to me, if NASCAR was making this about weather, they would have just run the race right when they were going to, because it wouldn't have fucking mattered. We saw what happened. They wouldn't have got cars on track till 5 o'clock anyways. They ran 10 fucking laps, and then it was just a waste of everybody's time. I believe they moved all this up because of Trump. I think it's just so he could have his moment, and just so he could fucking get on the track and say the most ridiculous fucking, it wasn't anything. Yeah, just mumbled a bunch of bullshit in his fucking stupid limo in the track. I believe that they did this all for Trump. And I was watching the news today. Apparently, NASCAR was going to have their EV prototype lead the field. And because of Trump, that didn't happen. So, I don't know. I was definitely amongst the many that weren't happy that he was there. I think especially this time, compared to even 5 years ago, it was a much worse time for the country. So I don't know why NASCAR decided to do that, but
he's the fucking president. He can do it.
I know, but it's still horseshit.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
The people that were there that had to wait in security lines for 2 hours just to get through the gates so that he could wave.
It was more than 2 hours.
5 minutes and then
that
leave.
Was actually, the rain actually helped the fans, because there were people that still weren't in when they actually took the green the first time. So
it's true. Yeah. I hadn't considered the scheduling bit of it. I mean, when they moved it up, the rain, it looked like they were trying to get it to halfway. Like the forecast was indicating it was going to rain a lot longer, and they were probably going to try and get it to halfway. But that's not a bad theory, and honestly, I would buy that too.
Yeah.
I really thought you had a conspiracy about the feet thing, so that's not where I saw that going.
just giving you guys a little bit of feet info I had is about all I thought about that photo. So
I did appreciate Harvick calling out that the 2 or 3 extra laps that Trump did and the Beast were throwing off the fuel strategies for everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, NASCAR kind of course corrected that later in the race anyways.
Yeah, with their phantom debris caution.
Yeah, an old chestnut back from the grave. I really, I thought it was the little presidential tribute they did where they went through the history of when presidents have stopped by was kind of neat, especially the love that Jimmy Carter got. Again, we talked about him on the show before. Say what you will about him as a president, but truly a great guy. And it was nice to see him get a spotlight shown on him, especially in his love, or at least his connection to the sport. So I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Thunderbirds are badass. But
yeah. So the race started, and we got 10 laps in, and then it rained, and I think they got to a point where they got the cars back on track for maybe a second, and then immediately brought them back in, and then it was a 2 or 3 hour delay. I want to say something like that. They got started back around 5,
3.5.
It was long enough. Let me tell you.
Yeah. But then after that, it was your standard Daytona race as far as pack racing and drivers, driving under throttle to save fuel and that type of shit. And
so I've been told.
Yeah.
I was drunk the first time around, just to be clear.
Yeah. It was what it was as far as a Daytona race is concerned. I'm trying to remember when, I feel like there were a couple big wrecks. Was the Priest one the first big one, or was there another one?
No, that was...
The wrecks didn't start happening until 15 to go. And then there was 3 big ones.
Yeah.
All within the last 15 laps, so.
Yeah, obviously the big one is poor Ryan Preece. Probably going through one of the weirdest flips I've ever seen. I've seen plenty of flips. So we'll talk about it later on in the show, but there's a flip in the 99 Goodies 300 with Casey Atwood where he, you see the rear of the car come off the ground and kind of do a reverse wheelie. That happened quite a bit back in the day, but you never see it with the front end of the car coming up like that. And granted, this was also because he did the same thing that Ty Gibbs did at the All-Star or the Clash. He pretty much hopped off
the wheel well,
hopped the wheel well, and that sent his front end in the air. But because he was going 190 miles an hour, he kind of just coasted in this little wheelie manual thing till he got to the turn and rolled a couple times. But still, just a really hard wreck, and hate to see it because we're all Priest fans here also, and the RFK guys didn't have the cars that Penske had, but they were still doing pretty well throughout the weekend. I mean, Fords in general were all doing really well. And Priest had his moments where he was up in the top 10 at least. So
yeah, he's always been good at plate races, and at Daytona in particular. I hated that. I'm a big Ryan Priest. I have his hat on right now.
Yeah.
His interview after getting out of the infield care center was fucking chilling.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys caught that.
Oof. Yeah.
And I love that NASCAR clipped it in half when they posted it on their Instagram post, so that was cool. But basically,
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
Did they take out the part about his daughter?
Yep. Well, no, they kept that in, but then he said, the next time this happens, somebody might not walk out, which is. But yeah, I don't know if anyone didn't catch that. He basically said, as soon as I got up in the air and things got quiet, all I could think about was my daughter, and then went on to say, I'm happy to walk away from this, but we're getting to a point where this is going to happen and someone won't. And he's 100% right.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I don't really know what you do to fix it other than, because there's two things, right? There's the under tray of the car, which granted NASCAR is absolutely going to go in and try and figure something else out to keep that from happening. They did it the last time this happened with that little rail that we made fun of. And guess what? It fucking worked. It kept Alex Bowman on the ground. It kept a couple other guys on the ground this week. When the car gets sideways like that, that little rail actually is functional, and good on NASCAR for doing that. And I'm sure they'll do the same with this tray underneath.
Well, Josh Berry did have a good tweet. He just said, add another rail. That'll do it.
Yeah. But the rail did. It kept Corey LaJoy on the ground, I'm pretty sure, when he got sideways at Atlanta, I think. I can't remember.
I remember
Kansas, who the fuck knows? But
he rolled at some track. I can't remember which one it was now, though.
yeah, maybe it wasn't Corey. Maybe I'm
A couple times last year.
Yeah, maybe I'm conflating two different things. But there's been the rail works in certain situations, but I don't know. When you have a flat bottom of a car, that's going to happen. Like Tommy Baldwin gave a really good explanation of this on DBC, and just like the simplest terms, when you stick your hand out the window in a car and you move your hand up, what happens to your fucking arm? It goes up. Like, it's the same exact physics. But I know for a fact that, again, NASCAR is going to do something about it, but they're not going to get rid of that tray because it's too integral to the aerodynamics of the car. And number two is the racing, which is fucking stupid in my opinion, and it's gotten worse over time, and now we're at this point where everyone's so damn packed up that it's a perfect recipe for something like this to happen, and they're not going to really change that either. So I don't really know what the way forward is, and I know I probably just sound like a bitter old boomer right now. I don't like plate racing. I've said that plenty of times. I don't need to go on that rant, but I mean, Ryan's right, and fuck anyone who gave him any sort of bullshit about him being a pussy, or this is part of racing. It's like, no, it fucking isn't.
No,
it doesn't have to be. And I'd like to see any one of you fucking jackasses out there strap into a race car and do that, and see if you didn't shit your fucking dungarees like Ryan didn't, because he's a goddamn tough guy and a professional. So go fuck yourself. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, that got me heated. Sorry. Yeah,
a little bit.
But seriously, what can be done? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have the answers.
I mean, cars are always going to flip at that speed. I guess it's just a
fucking
matter
180. Like, they go way faster than that. It's true, they will, but it's just when the bottom of the car is fucking flat, and that's what the car is designed off of. I don't really know how you back out of a situation like that. Again, like what Josh Perry said, just add another rail, right? Like, where are you gonna put that shit?
What was the next big wreck after that? Because there was another one that led to the green white checker.
Yeah, there's one that bunched
There was
them
one
up.
before that where Logano and Stenhouse got together.
Oh, that one. That one really pissed Denny Hamlin off, and he has every right to be pissed off about it. Because I mean, you go back and watch that replay. It was just two stubborn assholes not giving each other an inch. Like,
yeah, Ricky really did a very. I was going to say aggressive, but I guess that's what it was, an aggressive block.
And then, as was mentioned on Door Bumper Clear, I did see this clip. Joey will shove it anywhere, no matter if there's a hole or not. So that's what he did.
Yeah, and he kept his foot in it, and that was that. So
yeah. So yeah, that took out a bunch of cars, and then the Priest wreck happened, and then did the Priest one
the final
lead to the
wreck.
green? Okay.
Yeah. Then there was the restart, which was the final wreck.
Yeah, the order was Ricky, Priest, both guys who have driven for Roush, and then the grand finale, if you will.
Yes. So the last lap started off with, what was it, Denny and Custer on the front row?
Hamlin was leading, I think.
No, and Cindric. Yes, it was, and both of them had their teammates behind them, but not in the exact same positions, I don't think.
Yeah, they got kind of jumbled up.
Yeah, it was a little fucked up there. As soon as they take the white flag, it looks like Riley Herbst is going to fuck everything up, and he starts to spin, but somehow keeps it together.
Dude, that was a ridiculous save. He pulled off.
Very, very, very good save. And it's one of those things where I hate to give Corey LaJoie credit, but Corey LaJoie was right behind him, and I think somebody accused Corey of causing that wreck, but if you look at it, Herbst got on the apron, and that got him loose. So it really was not Corey LaJoie's fault here. I'll give him that credit. But I think he was involved in the other wreck, one of the other wrecks.
Yeah, not by his own hand, I don't think. He was kind of a bystander the entire time, and then when he did have a chance to stay up front and maybe win the race after the big wreck with Priest, he just decided to drop to the bottom lane and sit himself down the elevator shaft for some reason, and that was the last we saw of him. So I don't really get.
Thank God, because I was really stressing there for a minute.
I told you guys, like, if Corey won, I don't know if I could do this show or watch racing. Like, I don't know if I could. But thankfully that didn't happen. Although
it'd be a hell of a story if he did win it, but yeah.
Not a good story.
It's a good story for the 68 fucking LaJoie fans.
Better or worse than the feat?
I don't know. At least somebody's getting pleasure out of the feat, I suppose. So yeah, that was
more than 68 people.
I don't even remember like how many other wrecks were happening, but I feel like there was another wreck in turn 2, maybe a couple cars spinning. They didn't throw the caution. Cole Custer made some dumbass move in the middle of the backstretch, and that caused another big wreck. And then I thought for sure this was over, but nope. NASCAR let William Byron and Tyler Reddick.
Did you hear why that wreck happened?
I mean,
because
yes,
Cole Custer's spotter.
No. Okay, so that was debunked already. What happened was during that wreck, he got confused after everybody started wrecking, and then he thought William Byron was Custer after that. So no, he wasn't actually paying attention to Byron's car the whole time.
Doesn't sound like he was paying attention to Cole's car much of the time either, but.
Two very different looking cars as well.
So
they're red.
They're
one has flames, one doesn't.
Yeah.
There was another. This is another point that Denny brought up in his podcast, where it's like, guys, like I get it, like you're all going for the 500. Everybody's trying. They're driving like assholes. Whatever. At least wait till you see the checkered flag. Wait till you get out of 4. Then do whatever dumb move you want.
Yeah.
That'll at least give you a shot. But no, guys got to start doing this in the backstretch, and you're never going to win making stupid moves on the backstretch. But no, at least NASCAR let them all run to the finish, even though Tyler didn't really have a shot. I think he scrubbed the wall a little bit and didn't have the speed. So we get another William Byron win.
Yeah, 7th place, where all winners come from.
Byron had such mild enthusiasm when he won too. I was like, where is your joy?
Yeah, he's like the worst person aside from Corey to win. I feel like just because like he's got no star power at all. Like nothing about
like
him.
Such a sweet angel, precious, sweet baby angel, but just nothing. There's just nothing there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Jeff Gordon fans like to see the flame car back in victory lane, but other than that,
it's a good looking car.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I mean, I think he probably was not all that excited because he was probably fucking surprised he won the race because he had no shot until everyone wrecked in front of him.
He did seem a little shocked, yeah.
It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll give NASCAR credit. We actually got a green flag finish, even though probably,
Yay!
I don't know.
37 cars wrecking behind them, but
yeah.
But we also got Jimmy Johnson with a top 3.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
Yeah.
Allgaier managed 9th.
He
so.
did.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool to see.
And John Hunter Nemechek got 5th, so probably Liberty's best race ever, I would say. Not Liberty, Legacy, whatever the fuck her name is.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, what is that John Hunter
was like,
Nemechek's
what?
nickname?
Yeah. So yeah, not the worst 500 I ever watched, but nowhere near the best. And I don't know if we'll ever see another really, really great one again until they figure out how to make these cars fast enough and allow them to race full throttle the whole fucking time, because these fuel strategy plate races are just really fucking awful. And we used to say that back in the day, plate racing wasn't because it wasn't like a fucking pack of cars for 200 laps, but also guys were actually trying to race the whole time back then. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is. It's definitely one of the handful of reasons I will probably never actually go to the 500 again.
Yeah.
But
I mean, again, I've already bitched enough about it tonight and historically. But I think it's just a shame that, this is obviously the biggest race of the season from a public perception standpoint, and again, regardless of what you fucking think of the guy, the fucking president was there. He doesn't just show up at every event. The last one was the Super Bowl. It was huge, so like the eyes of
He
the...
kind of does lately, so.
Well, sure, yeah, but I mean, he's not showing up for like fucking, Wednesday afternoon Cubs games and shit, Daytona's huge,
Not yet.
And
it's cool. We can fire a bunch of park rangers and bird flu specialists just to make sure that Trump gets $10 million to show up at a fucking race.
Yeah, but my point is the president showed up. The president was there. It doesn't matter who the...
You ain't gonna win this one, Rob.
Yes, I am, because it's the fucking president, and it's a big deal.
He didn't. He didn't hang out and stay and eat fried chicken afterwards. So.
He didn't
Well,
do
that's
shit.
fair. Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Means nothing to me.
Regardless, like, it's the biggest event of the year. There's a lot of hype that goes into it. It felt huge this year for a number of reasons, and for the racing to be what that is, as the sort of one of the only times that the average motherfucker will tune in and watch it, I think that's just disappointing. It's very disappointing, and I hope they figure it out. But I don't think they will, so...
Probably not. I mean, we've got another plate track this weekend, but the new Atlanta's been pretty good, so I'm not really concerned about that being a bad race. But a couple little things to talk about afterwards. I mean, yes, Chase Briscoe got penalized 100 points for the wrong holes on his spoiler or something. I saw a little bit of chatter about it before we recorded. Basically, I think the Gibbs guys were trying to say that the holes and the bolts were the correct size, but they expanded once they were put on the car.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I don't fucking know, man. Like,
you got Austin Hill leaking out of his rear end all over the place. You got Chase Briscoe's bottom holes too big. It's just...
During the grid walk that Mikey does before the race, I did notice him carelessly swinging on spoilers as he ran by race cars.
Really?
Yeah. So,
oh, Mikey.
I can't remember if he went by Briscoe's, but I was like, what are you doing?
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Again, by that point, I kind of, even before the race, I had checked out a little bit. You can only watch the Thunderbirds on TV so much.
Yeah. But now Briscoe is starting the year off negative 67 points. So
yeah, he's in a very deep hole.
Yeah, but I feel like this will be his first multi-win season, so I think he'll be okay in the long run. But yeah, not a good place to start the season out.
We'll see. Again, I have high hopes for Chase. I really like him a lot, and that car is generally pretty good. And I think Martin, past couple years, was kind of checked out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And having a new guy in there that's willing to work with the James Small, the crew chief, and everybody. I do agree. I think we'll see at least a couple wins out of him this year, but I guess we'll see.
Other news that...
Not for a while, I guess. They're going to figure out a new way to get that spoiler set
for
up.
4 weeks. Did Brian quit?
He's mad at me. No. What else? I feel like you missed something here. No, we got it all. Oh yeah, Jeff Gordon was out in the media talking about Days of Thunder 2, which I feel like is an appropriate thing to bring up because we obviously watched it last week.
We probably inspired that.
He must have listened and was like, you know what, this is a great.
He watched along.
He did. And by the way, thank you to anyone who actually did that. I don't think most people did, and it was just a very confusing last hour and a half of the podcast. But I know for a fact at least a couple people actually did line it up and watch the movie, so thank you for doing that. That was the whole point. I wish there was a better way we could get that done, but, you know, I'm sure we'll figure it out in the future.
I just hope that Jeff Gordon and Tom Cruise smooch.
Yeah, you know,
That's all I ask.
it's about time. We got the kissing in there. We got toe sucking. We got we got all sorts of rear end problems. Let's get Jeff and Tom smooching. Some real rainbow warriors. You know what I mean? But yeah, he says he's very excited about it, and I believe I'm going to butcher this quote a little bit, but he mentioned that if not Days of Thunder 2. There will be some sort of major motion picture that NASCAR has an involvement with in the near future. So,
Talladega Nights too.
Yeah, we're just gonna do that again.
Starring
Cletus McFarland.
Fuck off. Listen, that motherfucker cannot act, so that ain't gonna happen.
No.
But no, what I was trying to say before my laptop shit out again, my laptop was so good last week, it didn't do it at all. This week it's done every 10 minutes, and I'm feeding it to my dog after we're done here.
Nice.
But the rumor that it's just about all but confirmed by NASCAR at this point, but it looks like Dodge is going to be returning to the Truck Series next year.
That's right. I knew I forgot something.
I don't know what this means, if they'll go back to Cup anytime soon or the other series, but it looks like we'll have another manufacturer.
Yeah. Well, it's a good entry point for somebody who is kind of dipping their toe in the water because, you know, Dodge is not going to be building an engine for the Truck Series. It's just a body style. They're all running the Ilmore crate engines, so it's relatively low investment. It can get their name out into the sport, and they can kind of see if they really want to be involved in it and get a driver development program together, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's awesome. I hope that Dodge gets back in because they're one of the only companies that really seems focused on high horsepower, and it kind of fits their brand. I never thought I'd see it, so that's awesome.
Well, we thought we were going to see it a couple years ago. That they were the big rumor, like 2-3 years ago to come back.
Been the big rumor, right?
Well, they've been in and out at this point now, like a couple times. So you know, it only makes sense for them to pop up again. But,
but again, to me, the interesting wrinkle in it is the fact that they're joining a series where they don't really have to do any motor development. And I wonder if that will inspire other manufacturers to look at the Truck Series, you know, like a Honda or something like that, and start to build a development program there as well. It could be interesting.
I guess, but the whole thing about the engines is like that's why NASCAR has lowered the horsepower in the cars to help entice other companies to come into the sport. So
true.
It's a little bit confusing in that sense, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But, I mean, who else has trucks? Like, we see a fucking Honda Ridgeline out there or some shit.
Hey, our past guest, Josh, that's what he drives.
Nice.
So it's got like 300,000 miles on it now, so it's holding up.
Hell yeah.
It's a shitty truck, though. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear this. It's fine.
Yeah,
all right, so I guess we can go on to the DARF of the week now. And I actually didn't find any DARFs this week because I don't know. I just wasn't really paying attention or looking for them. A lot of stupid people. None that stood out to me as extra stupid, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely a quantity over quality week in the DARF of the week category. We still managed to scrape up a couple here. I do have one, and this is sort of my runner-up here because there's a definitive one for me. But I wanted to run this by Brian, and I know you've kind of taken a look at this guy a little bit, and you have some theories to his authenticity, whether or not this is a real DARF or just a shit poster or whatnot. And I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about it. But after the Daytona 500, Joseph Newgarden, of course, two-time Indy 500 winner and just stack of soulless muscle, says, I want 90s style racing back at Daytona, which I smashed the fuck out of that like button because I also agree. And
We'll talk about that at the end of the show because, that's our video of the week. And
exactly.
As someone who's watched every Daytona from the 80s and 90s, at least more than once, like I can agree for sure with that.
But a guy named Michael Daly on Twitter definitely does not agree, and he says, no, period. It shouldn't be funny to me, but it is. He goes on to say, passing was far more handcuffed then. Separating cars is not safer, is not competitive, quality is not racing. I'm not sure what that means.
What?
Real racing is always unlimited repassing and involving maximum number of cars. So definitely not a Formula One fan, but he sounds like one. That is real dumb, and I read that and I was like, you know what? I got to take this to the expert. I don't know if this is real or not, and let's go over to Brian with his analysis. Brian?
So I looked at his account, and he is the liberal Jason from Texas because he reposts a lot of left-wing stuff, which I'm fine with, but yeah, his racing takes are just as bad as Jason's, and that's my analysis.
All right, so we look forward to hearing more from you, Lib Jason. You'll get the big trophy soon enough. But my actual DARF of the week is brought to us by the NASCAR shitposting group on Facebook. A guy named Jared Adams. Don't know him. Probably don't care to. Sure, you're a nice guy. Maybe you aren't. Who knows? But he found this one for us. NASCAR on Fox posted a post about the start time of the Daytona 500 being moved up by an hour to facilitate whatever. And
hold on. I need to retract my statement. I thought he did post a couple things that were left wing, but no, he's got a lot of righty stuff here. So
he's just saying whatever.
He's just a more political.
Might just be Jason.
Maybe this is. See, this guy has like he has like 2,000 followers. So, and he's followed by a few people in racing. So I don't know what that means, but at least he shows his face. That's if you're gonna say stupid shit, at least put your face out there.
That's true.
Anyways, Rob, continue with the other DARF of the week.
Yeah. Well, much like that other dude's opinion, is not good enough to be number one this week, which goes to a guy named Jeff Bugby. I actually didn't read his name before this. That's really doing it for me. In response to Fox announcing that the Daytona 500 was being moved up an hour, he says, "We still in church then. We're not missing church. Sorry. If there's going to be a big rain delay, well, so be it. Maybe you should have had the race on Saturday."
Move it up a whole fucking day for this man to go to church.
And just the cognitive dissonance is what gets me. Yeah, buddy. I'm not even going to sentence you because you already sentenced yourself to missing the race.
I'm going to church.
Also, there's a thing called DVR. So just fucking record it and watch it when you get home, like I did when I was a little kid and had to go to church when the Winston Cup was on. So there you go. That's my DARF for the week. And you've already punished yourself. Thanks for making it easy on me this week. I really appreciate it.
There we go. So now, with all this stuff going on at Daytona, there was actually some short track stuff going on. So, Rob, I think it's time we take a dive in the septic tank.
Climb on in, folks. There's a whole lot I'm not going to talk about. It was just full-on overload the past month. Again, we've talked about a good deal of what's been happening at Volusia and Ocala and New Smyrna and all that. The true speed weeks are the only place that really has stuff to fill time for a speed weeks. And again, I'm only going to report on what I, A, remember, and B, what I actually watched. There was so much happening, and if you're a Flow or a Dirt Vision subscriber, you definitely got more than enough to watch this weekend, even if you didn't give a fuck about Daytona. Gavin Bushell picked up a win at the ASA race on, I believe it was Wednesday night, so good for him. That was also Ty Majeski and, not Connor Hall. It was somebody else. Anyway, they got into it. They got Jimmy Jack in a little bit, and they wrecked, and then they sent whoever wrecked Ty Majeski to the back of the field, even though, in my opinion, Ty kind of squeezed him a little bit. I apologize. I can't remember your name, but I think that's a little bit unfair. But Gavin getting a big win there. I know friend of the program, Jay Pennell, who's done some work with Gavin, was very excited about that. Over on the modified side, Patrick Emmerling pretty much just whooped everyone's asses this weekend. He won, I think, 3 out of 5 modified races that weren't the NASCAR Modified Tour race, and he also won that one too. So he, of course, picks up the championship for New Smyrna this year during Speed Weeks, and I think that's a statement piece for the rest of the year on the Modified Tour as well. He had a good year last year. I said it last week, watch out for this guy, and I was fucking right. Austin Beers also got a win. I was very excited about that. Matt Hirschman won the Richie Evans Memorial, which was awesome to see. Also, we paid tribute to John Blewett III. Patrick Emmerling winning that one as well. And there's a bunch of other stuff that happened late model-wise. Couldn't tell you much about it. I was excited to see Derek Griffith have a good run coming back out of a medically induced hiatus. He had some health issues, I guess, and kind of backed off for a while. But he was running top 5 in most of the late model races he was in, and that was awesome to see. And again, so many DQs this weekend. He got pretty damn close to getting one handed to him. And I would have celebrated the shit out of that by flipping my coffee table. But alas, I think a third was about as good as he got. But it's good to see Derek and his family team back down there kicking ass, because he does not have the funding that a lot of these big timers have. And I was very excited to see him take it to the rich kids, if you will. Over at Volusia, big weekend of late model racing. The dirt car sanctioned Gator Nationals took place. Ricky Thornton Jr. won the overall Big Gator title, so he gets a cool trophy with a bunch of teeth on it. That's pretty cool. Garrett Alberson picked up the win on Thursday night, Devin Moran with Friday night, and Jonathan Davenport won Saturday night after a battle with Bobby Pierce that Bobby Pierce did not like the outcome of. Went out and said that JD does not know how to slide somebody, which is ironic because that's exactly how Bobby Pierce races everybody else most of the time. So that was kind of funny to hear him not recognize that. But yeah, Jonathan Davenport getting a big win there. So much racing that I'm not going to talk about here. So much that I forgot, so much that I didn't take notes on. But we always say there's no off-season in short track racing. And there really isn't, but if there ever was one, it's right now, because there's not fuck all happening for like the next month. Lucas Oil's off for about a month. The World of Outlaws are off for about a month. The Smart Tour is firing up in a couple weeks down at Florence, and then the Cars Tour is going to get started too, but not a ton by way of dirt racing. There's a few things here and there, but the septic tank's going to be pretty empty for the next few weeks here until we get towards the middle or end of March. When all the dirt shit picks back up. But so yeah, I'm gonna have to watch NASCAR for the next few weeks, which is very cruel because the next races are Atlanta, Coda, and Phoenix, which is about the most unappetizing racing I can think of. I cannot wait for Vegas, I'll just say that. So that's the short track septic tank this week, and we're gonna go ahead and flush it on down.
Are you going to talk about what you did this weekend, Rob? Or you going to save that for the end of the show?
I forgot about that. Yeah, I went to Monster Jam this weekend. I did not watch the ARCA race. Well, I tried to watch a little bit of it during the breaks, but there were so many cautions, it was just wasting my fucking phone battery. So, yeah, I went to Monster Jam this weekend. I haven't gone to a monster truck event in... God damn. When was that? 2005? So 20 years? Jesus Christ. All right,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
is this your first Monster Jam event?
I don't remember. I think the one I went to previously was also Monster Jam, but I couldn't tell you. I was actually working a concession stand, and I got to go out and watch a little bit on my breaks or when they had me out there selling sodas. It was a great job in Albuquerque at the time. It was like $20 an hour plus like a few bucks in tips and all the corn dogs you could take home. So I was a rich man for a few weeks working at Tingley Coliseum. But that was my up until last weekend. That was the only experience I've ever had with monster trucks in person, other than seeing one parked out in front of a Ford dealership or something. It was pretty cool. Definitely, it was an arena show, right? So it's not what you would see at the bigger stadium shows like in Anaheim or whatever else. There's only so much they can do in a tiny space. In the arena here in Worcester, the DCU Center is very small. So they barely burp the throttle when they're in there. So it's a lot of wheel stands, and I got to see Sparkle Smash do a flip, and I loved that.
Yeah, a big part of Monster Jam now is like skill competitions where
Yeah.
you know, guys do wheelies and
Yeah.
nose wheelies. And
Super impressive stuff. The machines are incredible. It was nice to smell methanol in the off season here, at least for it being accessible for me to get to. But overall, like, it just, and this isn't to besmirch monster trucks as a whole, it just feels like a kids event. And I guess the
It is
arena
a
shows
kids-
kind of are. It's exactly what it is, you know?
yeah.
But with that said, the coolest part of the entire event was seeing just how many children were there, decked out in merch. And particularly how many young girls were there, like all sparkle smashed out and losing their ever-loving shit anytime that truck came out.
They have
hell yeah.
a pretty wide selection of lady drivers in Monster Jam too.
They
which,
do,
doesn't
yeah.
hurt.
And I can't remember the name of the driver of Sparkle Smash who was there, but she ended up winning the show. She was really good.
Every time you say that name,
Have you seen this fucking truck?
I'm Googling it right now.
She'll start off the freestyle by kind of getting up on the tabletop and doing like a rear wheel stand, and then she shoots confetti out of the unicorn horn.
I'm looking at this thing. This is incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, just a stadium full of young kids and little girls freaking out over it. It's something that other motorsports can't really get, and I think it's something that only an event like Monster Jam can really do, just because it is so cartoonish. And again, I'm sure we'll get to this in Brian's Monster Truck series, how we kind of got to this point. And I don't think this reflects on the greater Monster Truck world so much. I think Monster Jam kind of is what it is. But I don't think anything can have an impact on kids getting into cars or motorsports or whatever it is, more so than an event like that. And I don't think I'll be going back on my own. Like, it was cool, but the second one of my nieces or nephews has any interest in going, I'll be first in line to go with them. It was cool to see.
Yeah, the lady who drives the unicorn monster truck, her name is Kayla Blood.
Oh, she's doing the big shows. The other girl's the one who was driving, and I can't remember her name. I actually, she's one of the few drivers I recognized. But
I have a last name.
yeah, it really is. I forget what truck they got rid of or converted to be Sparkle Smash, but yeah, the kids love it. And it was cool to see a Gravedigger out there. There's like 5 or 6 of them running around doing that tour all over the country. But even my buddy, who's not really into this shit, he was like, "Holy fuck, Gravedigger's out there!" I'm just like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool."
Who was driving Gravedigger?
I can't remember. I have to look it up.
Well, I mean, there's like 6 different drivers now at this point, so.
But yeah, definitely a weird thing to go in there. I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about motorsports and at least be able to pick it up if I haven't seen something before, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on the entire time, as far as like a qualifying and how everything went and the points, and I guess the fans can vote on it. Again, it's an event that's designed for interaction with families, so which is I'm definitely not the target demographic, I don't think.
I mean, Monster Jam was running both here and in Pittsburgh this past weekend also, and I didn't go because, again, I know what I'm getting into with those shows, so I didn't bother. But I definitely saw a lot of people that I know go to them. And actually, when I lived in Pittsburgh, there's a guy I know there that every year he organizes like a big group.
Yeah.
A big group to go to Monster Jam, and he gets like 100 people to go, and like they're not. It's just like people our age and around our age, so it's
it's an easy sell. It's a lot easier than like, hey, do you want to go watch street stocks run for 3 hours at Thompson? It's a much easier sell than that, I guess.
for sure.
Matt Cody was driving.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know Dennis's kids drive a few of the different trucks. I mean, there's Son of a Digger, obviously, and then there's a bunch of Andersons that are all in those fucking things. So
yeah. But yeah, neat show. Don't know if I'll go back on my own, but like I said, if the little ones in my family want to head over, there's no question I'll happily sit in the stands.
If you're gonna go again, wait till the next time they go to the Patriots Stadium.
Yeah, Foxborough.
Those are the ones to go to because they go off.
Exactly. Yeah, they have room to do it. This is like watching. They're on literally a hockey arena.
Yeah.
So what can you expect? But again, it smelled nice, so hard to complain about that.
Yep. All right, so I guess it's video of the week time, and we decided to do a nice little palate cleanser with an episode of RPM Tonight, which aired right after the 1999 Daytona 500. Which, yeah, going back to Joseph Newgarden's tweet, this is a good way to compare what happened then and what happened now.
Yeah, hell of an accidental segue between those two, so good job, universe.
So this episode starts off with just the opening montage of just crashes and different highlights of the weekend, set to like a very 90s dance song.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I watched RPM Tonight pretty religiously, and they did this somewhat often, so not a complete surprise, but still a little bit funny to hear, 25 years after the fact.
Well, it's just that weird time where everything was extreme.
Yes.
And the
100%.
fonts got goofy, This is it.
So starts off with John Kernan, who is he hosted most of the show. And there were a couple different hosts, but he was like the main RPM Tonight host throughout the years. And Benny Parsons is there in the studio. Before they get into the actual racing itself, they show Jeff Gordon's car going into Daytona, USA, which Daytona, USA is still at Daytona, but it's no longer like the attraction it was when it first opened. Like, I don't think, do they still take the winners' cars and do they put them in the Hall of Fame now, or do they not even do that anymore?
No, it goes on display at Daytona, USA.
Oh, it's still in Daytona, USA, even though you have to like call ahead to go in there and see it. I think it's maybe open once or twice a month or something like that. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they keep it in Daytona until whenever they release it again.
Yeah. So yeah, they show a little footage from that ceremony. They talk about how Earnhardt left his signature on Jeff's door, a nice little donut, after Jeff beat him to the line. I will say that comparing Ray Evernham today to the Ray Evernham of 1999, I don't know when Ray went to Turkey, but Ray definitely went to Turkey at some point because his comb over here looks ridiculous.
Man, he definitely looked older, so much older back then than he does now.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was wearing lip gloss too, which was very distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray definitely looks a little younger, whereas Jeff just looks like Rick Hendrick now, so I don't know what sort of Benjamin Button situation's going on here.
He also drops this quote at some point. I know there are some people that would like to shoot us.
No.
So yeah, that's definitely true. Basically, they briefly touched on. Benny gave his analysis on there was a pass that happened, or not even a pass technically, but towards the end of the race, Rusty Wallace was leading most of the race, and coming off of the tri-oval. At one point, Jeff shoots down to below the yellow line, which this was before the yellow line was a rule, to try to pass Rusty. Rusty kind of forces him down the track a little bit and follows him down to block, but Ricky Rudd is on the apron. He had a damaged car or something, so it was like a chicken race to Ricky Rudd, and Rusty, pulled up and let Jeff back on the track, but that eventually led to Rusty not winning the race. And Benny said that the guy on the inside isn't the one at fault. The guy and he doesn't like blocking. So people have not liked blocking for a long time.
Hates blocking.
Yeah. And like you said, Rusty he led half the race, and I guess he didn't pit for tires like everybody else did, and ended up getting shuffled back. Which again, this is when tires did kind of matter at Daytona, where they don't matter at all now.
Yeah.
This brings us to the first commercial. This is probably the best commercial break throughout the episode. There is a commercial depicting a lover's lane scene where there's cops rolling through and shining flashlights and all the people making out. And at the very end, there's a guy that looks like he's doing something, and what he's doing is eating the fuck out of a Big Mac. So that was a cool McDonald's commercial. Then there was a Miller Lite ad where this scientist puts a drop of beer under a microscope and sees all these people partying, and then there's a guy that tries to give the scientist the he tries to give the scientist his number, and then she takes the slide out and puts it in a stack that just says men. So that was a good one. And then there was which I don't remember seeing these commercials, but I must have seen them at some point. There was a Racing Champions diecast commercial, which for those who weren't around, you've surely seen Racing Champions at your flea market or thrift store for $1 or $2 a piece, which
hundreds
is about
of these things.
Which is unfortunately about what these things are worth. There are very few Racing Champions diecasts that are worth anything. This ad was promoting the gold and platinum plated cars, which again are not worth anything anymore, but they tried.
Yes,
and then there was
sure
an ad.
did.
And then there was an ad for some investment firm called Invesco, which I take it they're not around anymore because I've never heard that name before. Coming back, we get Bill Weber is here. The recently passed Bill Weber. He's recapping the race. The big one in 1999 was caused by Dale Jarrett, who came down on his teammate Kenny Irwin and got on the apron a little bit, and that caused an 8-car big one. Big ones are a little bit different back then. Not the, half the field didn't get cleared out. It might have only been 5 to 10 cars usually. Like I said, we talked about the pass already. They mentioned that there was supposed to be a new Chevy Monte Carlo debuting sometime this year, and that was going to alter Dale Jr.'s debut in the Cup Series because they wanted to wait until the 2000 model was built. I don't know if it got out. I can't remember if it got out that year or not, but I mean, Dale Jr. ended up running anyways. They said they built him some older cars. Next commercial break, there's one for C-SPAN, which called themselves the Cable Industry's Gift to America.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
I don't watch C-SPAN. I know it's still around. I don't know which way it leans politically or anything, but
It doesn't lean anyway. It's just literally a feed of Congress.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Their gift to you.
There's a Chevy truck commercial, which is pretty standard for the time. And then there was an NCAA basketball commercial. Really, the highlight here is Ron Artest was highlighted as one of the NCAA stars at the time.
World Peace.
If you don't know about Ron Artest, look him up. He's an interesting guy.
Also, in that Chevy ad, I just want to point out how much those Astros are just hauling the mail. I would never drive one of those things that fast.
Astros are on my list of potential vehicle haulers. I've been looking for one at the moment.
They're cool as shit, but I would not take a corner that fast in one of those things.
No, definitely not. Well, maybe we had the all-wheel drive one, but who knows?
Sure. Yeah.
Next commercial break. This one's this is actually another good one. There's a Jeff Gordon Pepsi commercial where Jeff Gordon wins a race going in reverse because he dropped his Pepsi on the floorboard of his car. And Ray says we got to get him a cup holder. There's a Jeff Burton Exide Batteries commercial with him and just a everyday average mom comparing their cars, and the mom cuts off Jeff to get out of pit road after they realize they both have Exide batteries. And then there's an ESPN ESPY Awards, and my highlight of this commercial is there are performances by Fastball and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Just in case you forgot what year this show was being shown.
If there was anything that was a timestamp for when this came out, it was that.
Yep.
Then we come back, and it's like just a minute-long montage of different bumps and crashes and stuff, and they all have different stupid titles. And
a racing deal.
Yeah, yeah, on his roof. Then we go to another commercial break, and there's a ESPN Sports Century moment featuring Richard Petty's 7th Daytona 500 win, and a Burger King commercial where everyone, like this guy, which this is a major faux pas. Do not bring fast food onto an airplane. It's gross. It annoys everybody. Don't do it. But this guy brings a Whopper onto the plane, and everybody starts bribing him, like money, marriage proposals. Do you want to fly the plane? Do you want to land the plane? Everybody wants this stupid fucking $2 Whopper. Ridiculous.
Not even got cheese on it.
So then Benny's back one more time. He's just wrapping up notes and stuff. Talks about how Michael Waltrip and Kyle Petty had decent runs. There's a sad little note where Kyle talks. He mentions that Adam being around has rejuvenated his driving career, which again is some very dark foreshadowing. And then there's a note that I guess Rick Mast had Sonic on the car that day, and he finished 10th. And they were talking about maybe getting Sonic for the entire season, which that did not happen. And then from there, it's pretty much it. There's one more commercial break, and then they're done. This last commercial break, we get the Budweiser Frogs talking about getting shit canned, and then Louis the Lizard is judging them. And then there's a Pepsi AC commercial where
Perfect combination right there.
A guy's wife goes missing, and the cop discovers that she had just taken a new Pepsi AC chewable, and they find her in a Mexican restaurant, so she can eat that stuff now. And then a Pennzoil ESPN commercial starring Kenny Mayne, where they're talking about some giveaway for ESPN shit, and a shadow boxing documentary about black boxers. So, that wraps up RPM Tonight from 1999. Any other thoughts from you guys?
Even as a child, I always thought it was so funny how out of place any commentator they could find, Benny Parsons, Bill Weber, any of them, set against these goofy ass X Games graphics it's just like, this man does not belong on this set. Like, what the fuck is, like, why is nothing capitalized on the screen right now? Like, that, I always thought that was funny, even as a kid. And seeing it again, it's very funny to me to see Benny Parsons in his nice starched yellow shirt up against the fucking wall of a Spencer's Gifts is what it looks like. But that's about it.
Reminded me of a modern Fox broadcast because felt like there was more commercials than there were actual shows. So
yeah, the back half is very commercial heavy for sure.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Anytime I can find older RPM Tonights, I will always watch them because, again, I watched this show religiously from the moment it came on until the moment it was off TV. So
I did think it was the little
timestamp.
The little note about the one F1 story in the whole thing was that teams were testing in South Africa, and they were looking at adding a race to the calendar that year, which obviously didn't happen. I'd forgotten about that, and they still haven't gone back there. So thought that was interesting. So,
well, so I need at least a tiny NASCAR break after this past weekend. I'm not going to get it, of course.
One race.
There's just a lot to take in. So the video of the week will not be NASCAR related. And piggybacking off of Rob's experience this past weekend, we're going to dive back into the history of monster truck racing. And I'll give you guys a little choice here. I found there's the one specific episode, a TNT race from 1989 in Texas, where I'll save it for when we actually watch it because there's one driver on this show that every time he's on camera, you are glued to the screen. And so I think there are edits that only feature the monster truck racing, but there's also the full episode that has tractor pulls as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily care about the tractor pulling stuff as much because it's kind of slow. If I can find one that's just monster trucks, do you guys just want to watch that?
Sure.
I think there are both.
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever has other commercials involved?
No, this one I haven't found a full commercial edit of.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean it's like, cutting it down in half, and tractor pulling doesn't really change much over the years.
Let's just watch some monster trucks.
Yeah, okay. So that'll be up on the playlist in a little bit here. So yeah, more monster trucks. And True Love will be in Atlanta this weekend.
It's true.
As will our past guest, Mike. He's going to be going with our friend Dave. So maybe I'll try to link you guys up if I can. But I know. So last time Mike was in Atlanta, he went and saw the Cabbage Patch Museum or whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah.
Babyland.
Babyland.
This time around, Mike is a huge fan of the Saw movies. He's a big horror movie guy. And Dave found a parody show called Saw the Musical. So they're going to be going to see that before the race.
In Georgia?
Yeah. I'll get the info for you if you want it.
Okay, yeah, please.
Okay. But
Sounds like True Love just made some plans as well.
okay, well then, yeah, maybe I'll link you guys up there. How about that?
Okay.
So yeah, True Love will be in Atlanta. I'll be at home. So will Rob.
Yep.
Anybody else we know going?
I think Josh Davis is going. If he does listen to the show, he's
Josh
not
Davis.
listening now because it's way past his
Kyle
bedtime.
Armstrong.
Yeah, Kyle will be there. I think maybe Alex is going to be there, but he might be going to Supercross. I can't remember.
Alex? Texas Alex?
Yeah, he was talking about it. We all had grand plans to make this happen, and they all
I
just
think he's
fell
going to
apart.
Supercross.
Yeah, he's definitely going to Supercross now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a lot of friends
Eric
and
from
families.
Canada will be there.
Nice.
Yeah, a bunch of people seems like they're going, so
Yeah, that'll be fun.
get there early, hang out.
You get to see Billy Gibbons be the Grand Marshal and then a ZZ Top cover band be the entertainment. So that's something
Yep.
that they've done there.
And they're having like a dance battle or something Brian was telling us about.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, good. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Well, at least as of right now, it looks like the weather's going to be decent, and by decent I mean cold but no rain.
Yeah,
So,
and no Tim Duggar, so at least a couple of things that would normally plague a NASCAR race will
couple
not be around.
positives.
Yeah. So cool. We will be back next week. As always, you can follow us at Meet Me at Applebees on Instagram, Meet Me at the Bees on Twitter. I am Speedway Screens on all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop. And just this past week, I know I posted it on the stories the last couple days, but I was on a podcast called 95 to Life with my buddy Alex, who I know he's listening. And we talked about the Jerky Boys movie.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to hear how bad that is, you can find that on all your podcast apps and check it out.
Hell yeah.
Still Snake Mountain True Love. I don't have anything to plug for myself, but I do want to plug that my boyfriend was just on a podcast that got released this week called Goodest Cast, GOODESTCAST. So if anyone is into the early years of drifting, then he's got some good stories and get to learn a little bit about my boyfriend and
Hell yeah.
his 2005 season that he spent on the Formula Drift circuit. So
I didn't know he did Formula D. That's cool.
yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check both of those out. Rob Motes _ unofficial. My band's called These Wild Plains. I will not be on any other podcasts this week that I'm aware of. But I encourage you to listen to those two because they both sound like a lot of fun. Brian's got a lot of other podcasts,
he's cheating on us a lot.
special guest appearances popping up. He's blowing up. So you better listen here while we still got him before.
Oh, please. I'm not going anywhere. Real quick, Mike just said they have an extra ticket. So if you want to go, you'll have to buy one for the both of you. So
Saw the musical.
yeah.
I'll look into that.
I'm sure there's a Groupon.
Yeah, it can't. It's not expensive, I don't think so.
No, I couldn't imagine it is. Well, that sounds fun. Well, safe travels up the road, True Love. Again, as much as I've talked shit on super speedway racing, I am jealous, and I wish I was able to get down there and hang with you all this weekend. It does sound like a good time.
Yeah.
And I know the show there is always super good in person. So
Yeah, I really love New Atlanta in person, so I'm excited. So if anyone listening is going to be there also, let me know.
sing some Tim Duggar songs in the parking lot.
Have a dance battle.
Exactly. Jesus. Go see Saw.
That's enough.
All right. Well, with that, looks like the check is here. So thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to you all next week.